I was in awe watching what he did there against Errol live. But just overall, your thoughts on the fight and what impressed you the most?
What impressed me the most, and I predicted the outcome of the fight. Look at Spence's body of work. And what clue do you see there which would lead Crawford to victory? And the clue that I saw was that of all the fights, I think at 38 fights, of all those fights, he only fought 2 southpaws. So what is that telling you? That's telling you that he has trouble with southpaw, because to have only 2 out of 38 fights, it means that his people or himself have looked to avoid southpaws. Now, Terence's big strength is that he fights equally well from either side. So instead of opening up as a right-hander, which he usually does, and then switching to southpaw, he only fought Spence as a southpaw, and Spence couldn't handle it, particularly when Crawford, who's ambidextrous, and now his right hand is his jab, is throwing it with force and hurting Spence. So once I saw Terence come out as a southpaw, in my mind, I thought, hey, the fight's over.
Were you surprised, though, by how dominant he was?
No, because Spence can't fight a lefty, and nobody even mentioned that. He can't fight a southpaw. If Crawford had fought him 5 or 6 rounds as an orthodox fighter, it would have been a different fight.
You know, given just the performance that he had and now the attention that he's getting and the recognition, how do you feel? What emotions come to mind, seeing that, hey, he's finally getting his just due when so many years a lot of people try to dismiss him?
Well, I don't know if anybody dismissed him because of his ability. They dismissed him because of his drawing power or what have you. Terence was I consider Terence a great fighter before the Spence fight, and I consider him a great fighter after the fight. You know, and his dominance didn't surprise me. He is the full boat. Now, what will eventually catch up with him catches up with all of them, and that's father time. He is 35, going on 36. So at a particular point in time, not now, but down the road, he's an athlete. And athletes die young by not being able to perform up to their old level. And that'll eventually catch up with Terence.
They're talking about there was a rematch clause in the contract. It seems that it will be at 154. Does it go any different, in your opinion, at a new weight?
Not even. Same thing. Same thing. What's he going to learn how to fight a southpaw now? You know, as long as Terence fights him from the southpaw stance, the result will be the same at 154, 160, 175.
In your opinion, having guided a majority of Terence's career, where do you see him going after this? I know he's mentioned wanting to fight for undisputed at 154, but Jermel's tied up with Canelo, and we don't know what's going to happen there. And it could be a long time till that fight happens. Like, what do you think should happen in the meantime with him?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that problem is off my plate. Let Terence will solve it with his people, and I haven't given much thought to it.
Does he go up to 154 and be the Terence that we know he is against a Jermel if they were to fight for undisputed?
I really think so, yeah. I think Terence is that much of a quality fighter that he probably beats everybody at 154.
He has said that's his cap. Like, he ain't going past 154. And 160 is kind of like out of the conversation. At that point, if he does achieve the things that you say he could against Jermell, and I know you've told me this in the past, any era Terence could have competed, and he's just as good as the guys in the 80s now. Where would he fall amongst all the greats in boxing?
Well, he certainly in this era, he would be one of the most outstanding fighters.
What do you think his legacy will be, in your opinion?
Just that he was a great fighter. Fought guys. He won his first title in England. It wasn't easy. He's really a kind of fighter that has kept getting better and better as he got more experience. Yeah, this figures to be a no-nonsense, brawling type fight. Two guys who don't want to give up and don't ever give up and fight through pain and everything. So it has all the potential of being a fight of the year.
Two fighters that will be dueling in action this weekend, Oscar Valdez and Emmanuel Navarrete. In your opinion, this is obviously for title, but what are like the implications for the winner of this fight, you feel, Bob?
Well, this is a kind of fight that particularly in the Hispanic community, they've been debating about for a long time. Navarrete is not a great boxer, to say the least, but he's just never stops coming and is a very powerful puncher. Oscar has boxing skills, but when he gets into a shootout, he forgets about him and just brawls with his opponent. This is a kind of fight that Mexican fans and Mexican-American fans love, and it's reminiscent of the trilogy between Barrera and Morales, both of whom are coming to the fight and will be here all week.
For the winner of the fight, like whoever it is, like what do you feel lies in the future for them?
Well, it's hard to say because how do they feel about staying at 130 or going up to 135? There's so many options that fighters have now. But obviously a win for either of them is going to be very significant as it affects their earning power.
Speaking of the division at 130, is there anyone that catches your attention in that division that could make a big or a significant fight for the winner of this?
Well, who else is in that division? Who else is there?
Off the top of my head, I believe Ray Vargas. I know Leo Santa Cruz has been mentioned as well.
Yeah, they're all good fighters, but none of them really light up a room. So yeah, those fights would happen, but it's not a full wattage fight like this fight. Very, very hard to get a fight like this. We have two crowd-pleasing guys who brawl. Maybe the best that I can hope for is that the fight is so good that there's a tremendous desire for a rematch.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Just thinking, because style-wise, we think like there's no way it goes to decision, right?
Doesn't look that way, but you never know. It's boxing.